Good morning and welcome to the Rhinogs. It is a glorious day here. The light's absolutely fantastic, and my plan for today is to do a circular walk. I'm starting at the end of this lake and I'm going to go up onto the high ground, not right onto the tops of the Rhinogs, but up to another lake about 450 metres above sea level, and then going to walk over the tops and down into some beautiful Atlantic rainforest. Where I'm going to have a look for some lichens, some mosses, and then maybe some birds as well on the river there. It should be perfect time for dipper, so we'll see what we can find. Other than that, I have no idea what I'm going to find. I just came to this area because it's a remote part of Snowdonia that not many people go to, and just thought I'd explore it. So I have a rough idea of some of the things that I'm looking for, but other than that, it's just a little bit of an adventure. So I'm going to spend some time looking at the birds on the lake and then get going. I'll see you shortly. Well, it hasn't taken me long to find something a little bit weird and wacky. There's a black swan on the lake. Not something I was expecting at all up here. It's a pretty remote lake. As far as lakes in Snowdonia goes, it's definitely up there with one of the more remote ones. And pretty much, yeah, all the birds on the lake are Canada geese. And just lo and behold, black swan comes into view. They're not native here. They're a native to Australia, so definitely shouldn't be here. But seems happy enough. So I'm going to get a little bit of footage of that and then think about moving on. I'm hoping he comes really, really close. The water's almost like a mirror reflection, just to the right of me. And if he comes into that area, he will look stunning. But he's staying quite far on the other side of the lake, happily feeding. So yeah, black swan's a bit of, if you said to me, name list some of the birds you'd find up here, black swan would not be one. But seems happy enough. There were a couple knocking around real not that long ago. There's always sporadic ones that turn up here and there in North Wales, but yeah, this is definitely not one of the places you'd expect to find them, but in this light, looks absolutely fantastic, so I'm not complaining at all. Yeah, black swan, nice start to the day. Just coming out of a gorgeous woodland, just outside the car park as you're coming up the Roman steps, the main path kind of going up into the Rhinogs. It's absolutely gorgeous. Moss-covered boulders and lichens on trees. It's absolutely magical. I could spend hours in there, but I'm trying not to because I'll never get my walk done. The second half of the walk, I'm going to drop down into some better Atlantic rainforest and hopefully spend some time looking for some lichens and mosses there. But yeah, it's a weird time of year. It's third week of March, and I'm at a bit of a loss this week as to what to do, kind of going looking for wildlife. I want to photograph something, and the kind of spring migrants haven't really arrived yet. Odd ones and twos, but not really the bulk of them. The spring flowers, there's odd ones, but again, that kind of woodlands covered in wood anemone and things like that, not quite there yet. It's so dry that the chances of finding the spring fungi that I want to find and photograph, that's almost gone out the window. So it's kind of that limbo world where winter's kind of coming to an end, but spring hasn't really kicked into gear. So I decided to come here. I'm so glad I did. The Rhinogs are just this remote part of Snowdonia that I've got the whole place to myself. Literally not another car in the car park. I haven't seen another person all day. I've been here a few hours already. Mucking around and haven't seen anyone else. If this was the Gliders or Snowdon or the Carnethi, you would have already kind of been passing hordes of people by now. So I'm not complaining. I'm glad I've got the place to myself. But yeah, it's definitely feels like a bit of a wilderness. It's often referred to as the Badlands of Snowdonia, and I can see why. But yeah, got to go over this bit of moorland before getting to the lake, where I stop and have my lunch. So I shall see you there. It hasn't taken me long to get distracted. This is Bog Myrtle, and it's one of my favourite plants. And it doesn't look like much now. It's got this nice little colour to it, which you can easily tell in amongst the kind of the Molinia and the heather and the other plants around. It kind of sticks out. It's kind of a woody shrub. And in a few months, it will be absolutely green with beautiful kind of leaves, look like little mini olive leaves. And it's one of my favourites because the smell of it. The flowers aren't anything to kind of shout about, but the smell. You give it kind of crush the leaves, and even the little buds that are forming now on the plant. You give them a crush and smell. Oh, it's kind of pine, resin, rosemary. It's this wonderful kind of scent. It's said to be an insect repellent. So in summer, when you get, bothered with midges and things like that, crush a few leaves and rub it on, and it's meant to help. Its old name as well, sweet gale. And it was before hops were introduced to this country, around the 1600s. We used to make beer, in inverted commas. You can't make beer without hops, but beer. Using plants like this, it's one of the sacred herbs. And why some hipsters not decided to kind of come along and revive it and make sweet gale ale, I don't know. Bog Myrtle beer doesn't sound as tempting, but sweet gale ale does. It's a plant of kind of this kind of habitat, wet, moorland edges, place like that. It likes bogs. It definitely, you don't get a name like Bog Myrtle without liking it wet. So yeah, as I'm going past, I'm just picking a few of the buds and just kind of smelling them, thinking of those warm summer nights that are yet to come. Delightful. Onwards and upwards. In the space of 2 minutes, I've missed 2 photo opportunities for lizards. Both of them just scurrying across the path. Obviously looking for somewhere to warm up, and now I'm checking all of the boulders around like a hawk for any lizards kind of sunning themselves on it. But that's nice to see, but frustrating, because they look great at this time of the year. And just whilst I had the camera out, a herd of goat have just appeared. So these are feral goat. And I kind of have a love-hate relationship with them over in Snowdonia. They are wonderful things, and they can be quite comical to watch at times. And other times they eat lots of unusual rare plants, and those plants often retreat to the nooks and crannies of the crevices that even the goats can't reach. And if the goats can't reach them, then I've got no chance. So they add extra pressure to things that are already struggling enough. But Metapipit flying around now. But they are comical, so I kind of like them. I just finished eating my lunch, and it was roast veg and couscous, if you wanted to know. And I've got distracted by some lichens. And lichens are one of the reasons why I came here today. They're fascinating organisms. They're part fungal, they're part algae, they're part cyanobacteria. They're this wonderful kind of concoction of different things living together to form weird and wacky and colourful forms. Some look like paint on rock or bird poo. Others look like leaves. Others are kind of a bit more like beards. And they're fascinating things, but they're often overshadowed by other charismatic wildlife. But lichens are, in my opinion, they're the unsung heroes. They're always in the background. They're always on rocks, on trees, on man-made objects. They're always there doing stuff. It's just they're often overshadowed. So I'm going to spend a bit of time photographing some of the species that I'm finding in and amongst these boulders. It has been deathly quiet, barely a breath of wind. There was about a 2-minute period where I couldn't hear anything at all, and the silence was finally broke by a couple of raven and a red grouse letting me know he was nearby, yaffling away. So yeah, I'm going to get a few more pickies and then think about heading on over the moors and then down into the wood, where hopefully there'll be some even more impressive lichen. That bit of moorland is not easy to navigate. There's no proper footpaths. You're just kind of carving your way through what probably the goats have carved, and what looks like the occasional quad bike might have been through, so you're kind of following those. It's incredibly wet in places, and considering how dry it's been, then I imagine it could get very wet. But there's still some interesting things. Had a couple more lizards, still not playing ball. It's middle of the day now, so they're going to be warm, charged. They're not going to be hanging around sunning themselves, so very little chance of getting a photograph of them. I've had 3 peacock butterflies, which surprised me because there's not much going on up here at the moment, but that was nice to see. And some caterpillars, drinker moth, which I often see up in the moorland. Occasionally get it in the moth trap in the garden as well. Goes to show you how diverse their habitats could be. At last, footpath marker. So I must be doing something right. Yeah. So I think I'm out of the worst of it now. The path seems to be getting better from here, and then drop down into the woodland and see what we find down there. I've just made it down off the moors, and on my way down I've accidentally flushed a woodcock, which was nice to see, but I always feel guilty when I do that. Obviously it's unintentional, they're so well camouflaged, and they wait until you practically stand on them until you move. Gave me a little bit of a fright. So it's about the 10th one I've had this year, which considering I've not been looking for them is quite surprising. It probably means I've been spending more time in the woods than I normally would at this time of the year. I thought I heard a dipper, so I'm just going to have a little wait and see. The river here is absolutely superb. It's crystal clear, looks so inviting. I would love to have a little dip of my feet, I think, right now. The way back to where I'm parked, we kind of go through the edges of what we call temperate rainforest, which is often categorized by the fact that the trees are absolutely strewn in moss and lichen and polypody ferns and things like that. So I'm going to have a dip of my feet. While I dip my feet, here's future me explaining what temperate rainforests are and why they're important. See you in a bit.
Temperate rainforest, sometimes known as Atlantic woodland or Celtic rainforest, is one of Britain's most magical and least understood ecosystems. Unlike tropical rainforests, these woodlands flourish in cool, wet climates where rainfall is high and the air stays damp for much of the year. But the true beauty of temperate rainforest lies in its layers, not just the twisted branches of ancient oaks and hazels above, but everything that thrives beneath. The forest floor is soft, rich, and carpeted with moss that holds water like sponges. Ferns, liverworts, and lichens, hundreds of different species, cling to rocks, bark, and even other plants thriving in the humid air. Fungi push up from the soil and even grow on rotting logs, breaking down wood and feeding the forest in return. And among these quiet marvels lies one of the forest's rarest treasures, tree lungwort. This large, leafy lichen is unmistakable. When it rains, it glistens a luminous green, but a little bit duller and more crinkly when it's dry. It's thought to resemble lungs, hence its name, and it only thrives in areas where air is pure, the moisture constant, and the forest undisturbed. It is a living symbol of the rainforest's delicate balance. Together, these layers, from canopy to moss-covered stone, create a vibrant, interwoven world, a forest that breathes, drinks, and remembers. These Welsh temperate rainforests are among the last of their kind in Europe. Precious, quiet, and irreplaceable. To walk among them is to step into a world where nature speaks in whispers and everything is connected. I spent a few hours here taking in all the different species and honestly not filming enough, but that just gives me another reason to come back and visit. Not that I particularly needed one.
I doubt you'll be able to see them down there, but I've just caught up with a pair of dipper. They keep flying up and down, but they just landed down here and I was able to obscure myself behind some trees and the wall. Managed to get a little bit of footage. But they're absolutely a delight to watch in this river because it's so clear that when they're running about on the bottom of the river looking for food, you can see them. Whereas back in my native Rochdale, you just wouldn't be able to see that. As soon as they go under the water, it's so dark, the water, not necessarily pollution, just because it's a different soil base and geology, etc. But here it's just so crystal clear, it's a delight to see. So I'm going to spend a bit more time watching these dipper before thinking about heading onwards.
Again, the start of the audio of the next clip failed, so I'm just going to fill you in. I was looking at some usneas, the kind of beardy lichens, and on it I found a parasitic fungus that I was very excited about, and we're going to pick up me trying to remember the name of the fungus.
Bioteropsis ursinarium, if my memory recalls. I'd like to look it up and make sure that I've got the name right, but I've got no signal here whatsoever. So I think it's Bioteropsis ursinarium, and it's just these little kind of peachy pink kind of blobs that occur on it. It's a parasitic kind of fungus. But I've never seen it before, mainly because in a lot of areas that I normally go, usneas are not that common. It's a kind of a special day when you go out into the kind of woods and they're covered in all these beardy lichens. It means you're somewhere that's usually quite remote and of very good air quality. And because there's plenty of usneas around here, it's probably just a case of checking each one and finding them. But yeah, I'm pleased about that. I've also just had an orange underwing, a moth. It's a day-flying moth that hangs about the tops of birch trees, and it kept whizzing past me as if it wanted to land on the road and kind of sun itself, but it never did, which is frustrating because I've still never got a decent picture of an orange underwing. But yeah, hopefully they might find a couple more before I get back to the car. But yeah, that was just finishing going past the river, and a fungus I've probably never seen before, and a moth as well. That is always a delight to see. Yeah, lovely. So I'm back now at the lake. The mountain in the background, that's been our anchor point all the way around. We've basically just done a big loop round it, going up over the moors, then dropping down into the forest and then back along the lanes. So hopefully you've enjoyed it. It's been quite one of those walks. I've really enjoyed it, but it's been so bright all day that trying to do some photography has been a pain because it's been so harsh, the light. And it's been so warm, certainly in the afternoon, that the peacock butterflies, the orange underwing, the lizards just haven't played ball at all. And it would be lovely to have got some footage and videos, but it's just another reason to come back. Hopefully I'll be doing these kind of walks once a month, maybe not as intense, although some plan to get up onto the mountain top to show you some species up there, but covering plants and birds and all sorts of other things. So if you've enjoyed this, like and subscribe, and I shall see you on the next one.